It's showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
A fine Saturday matinee to you, gentlemen, Steve.
Willkommen.
Is it a real fight in the morning when we start talking? Is it a fight not to hold it back? Are you like a racehorse at the gate?
I always have to, I'm going to try to represent more
countries,
cultures around the world. Yeah, I'm going to work on that.
I think that's what isn't that what Nick asked us to do? A whole
work on offending
an accent series that we should do.
I think we aspire to that.
Who needs an accent series when we have
Andy? Right.
I have a little bit of news. I think it was maybe the middle of the week. The week seems really long this week, so it seems like it's been 2 weeks since we last talked. I don't know. Mm-hmm. The Hulu, what is it? Disney Plus ESPN bundle package that's going on now. I don't know if you guys heard about this. The pricing, because as a Hulu subscriber, I was like, do I really want to shell out a few more bucks for, or another like $10 for Disney Plus? Is there that much? Okay, all the back catalog, there's stuff, but my kids are older, so I'm not in a position where there is a lot of high demand for some of the Disney back catalog. But knowing that I can bundle that in with ESPN and Disney Plus, I mean, I'm not a huge sports fan, but it's would be a nice little add-on for just a couple bucks. I thought, I'm really impressed with Disney. I know it's smart business sense from their side, knowing that they're losing, viewers on cable TV and all of this. So a nice way to bring everything together. So it's something that has piqued my interest and made it strongly possible that I will switch to that plan versus just trying to, doing Disney Plus as a separate piece. So I think this might be the first step in maybe some bundling of some of these streaming plans out there to see if we start seeing, because of the ginormous monopoly that some of these companies are, if we start seeing some of them. So instead of cable TV, where you now pay for all these channels you don't watch, you'll now buy a streaming package with a bunch of streaming bundles in there with some streaming plans that you probably will never use.
So are you? I guess I don't. You got to review the news for me. What did I know that Disney Plus has said that they'll be available inside of Hulu as one of the channel add-ons. My assumption is that it will be a channel that you'll be able to add like on iTunes channels too, or Apple TV channels and things like that. So whatever your primary platform is, you'll be able to add it. But is it that if you buy it through Disney or through Hulu, you'll get ESPN too?
So it's what they're doing is it's basically, now, I because I am the ad-free subscriber on Hulu Plus, so it's a little bit,
right.
I think you are too, Pete, which is what, like $11.99? Yes. But right now, Disney Plus is going to be the anchor to a bundle of all their streaming services for $13 a month. That's Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus. So it's not like right now where in my Hulu I can get HBO for an extra $14 a month or Showtime. It looks like it is this becomes the
package prime.
Right now I'm assuming that maybe they're going to kick it up a few more dollars if I want to do the Hulu ad free. We'll see. But to me, again, it wasn't a separate bundled add-on. It's all packaged together. So that is what makes that appeal to me as a current Hulu subscriber.
Okay. That's actually interesting. I don't know if that excites me as much. I was looking forward to the whatever it is, $6.99 add-on inside of Hulu or Apple TV channels, like wherever. I don't really care. Just let me shut up and take my money, kind of a thing. And then we heard the initial. This is really not Disney Plus. This is like Mandalorian Plus, because that's the thing I really want to watch. And so I don't know how excited I am about. I definitely not. I can guarantee you, I'm not. Have you met me? Not excited about ESPN. I don't know what that offers me.
Well, and this is where package deals start, where you have to evaluate: is it a better deal to have Disney Plus and Hulu Plus and just deal with the fact that you have ESPN as well.
Yeah.
Or is it a better deal to just to buy them separately? And this is how packages form, and this is why we have cable. And eventually this will be what streaming is like, where you have a plan that has 500 different streaming platforms. It's like, well, I only watch 5 of them, but it's
But right
cheaper.
now the pricing model is, I was afraid we were going to get to that point if every add-on within Hulu was going to be another $15. But to, sort of make it a little packaged plan where right now for people that are just regular Hulu subscribers paying their $7.99 a month, or $8.99 a month, you're getting, for just, a couple of bucks, you're getting 2 extra things. So that's a smart approach, I think. Disney's got the money. They've got the leverage. See if others, hop on board. I'd be interested to see if we start to get other, packages like this. I don't know who else is out there that has the platform to do something like that, because the Hulu interface is much different than Netflix, because Hulu was sort of built on this idea of we're bringing in all of these different providers already. Netflix doesn't have that, and I don't know who Netflix would possibly be getting into bed with to offer something like that to compete.
They're very standoffish about this stuff, Netflix.
Yeah.
Very standoffish. They won't play in there's no cross-pollination of sandboxes.
Right. So it would maybe be, I don't know who's the, see, Disney owns, I guess it would be what's the other big conglomerate? Is that like Warner Brothers, Time Warner?
Yeah.
Right. Because I think, because they own, are they the ones that own Comcast? I'm trying to remember my big media map, because that's the other one that might have the content library, to start something and then sort of pulling in related services. But I don't have my 4 companies on the world map available right now.
Well, the big test will be when somebody does finally get these people to hop into bed together, and it becomes a platform. I mean, that's when we will truly have a streaming service that is basically a cable company, when they can get, Paramount TV and CBS and HBO and Warner Media and Disney and all these different people to hop into one platform, and everybody pays one price, and then you get all of those different platforms.
Comcast owns NBC Universal, owns Comcast Spectator, the sports network, in-demand networks, Comcast Spotlight, Comcast Technology Solutions, Comcast Ventures, a venture capital outfit, Freewheel Watch, Sky, all of Sky. Remember, Comcast bought Sky, so that's big. And of course, NBC Universal, and I think they also have another streaming service coming, NBC U Plus, I guess.
Oh, okay.
And so, it's under NBC Universal, Chiller and Clue, and that's CLOO, Daily Candy, G4. The list is long and
okay, so that's the other
marginally distinguished.
And Warner has Warner, HBO, TBS, AT&T Sportsnet, DC, New Line, the CW. Mm-hmm. So I mean, they've got.
And have either of you subscribed to DC's universe?
No.
I was wondering, because as DC heads,
I was interested just to watch the Swamp Thing, but then they canceled it after not even finishing a season. I went, it's not worth paying for that.
Yeah, I struggled with that one too. It's very confusing, and this whole just 15 years from now, probably less, we're going to we'll have made it over the cable cord cutting thing, and we'll be back into the unbundling thing, which is I just want my single, whatever it is. Probably we're all going to buy. It'll be back to, who had it right. It was iTunes when they first released the iTunes store with TV shows, where you just buy the show. Just buy the show. I don't care about any networks.
Right.
I just want the shows, and so that's That is feeling more and more appealing to me than any of this other stuff. And I got very excited about it because I had HBO for Game of Thrones, and I managed to watch Chernobyl and Game of Thrones when I still had the HBO subscription turned on. And then I saw that they also had finally released Chernobyl in the iTunes store, and that was such an easy pickup. Just to have, because I know I'm going to watch that again. I want that in the library. I don't want to subscribe to HBO to get it. And so it's these, show by show purchases, the networks, the bundles, they're making it easier for me not to look at them and just go straight back to individual shows.
Yes.
It's getting frustrating again.
Agreed.
Just when they cleared it all up, they they screwed it all up again.
I did my part. I cut my cable, and now they've made it bad again. They've made it a site of ugliness.
Well, what happened is customers finally figured out this is what we want, and then all the people said, "No, we're not making the money we were before. Hold on, we got to build this system back up so we can make money again."
Wait,
screw everybody over.
Exactly. So it's not great. I'm not excited about that.
Did you hear that Dwayne Johnson might end up in the MCU?
Yes, I did.
Doing
I don't know which
what?
character that is, but
because I thought he was down for Shazam, or Black Adam, or
I don't know. I haven't heard any rumors of the DC side, but as far as Marvel is concerned, there has been kind of some Twitter back and forths that people are talking about him being a character who I'm not familiar with, named Garrison Kane, who was Weapon X at one of Cable's six-pack mercenary team, who is involved in kind of the Deadpool storyline. And as Deadpool moves into the MCU after the acquisition that Disney had, it looks like that may be a character that they're pushing. So it will be interesting to see what would happen with that. I don't know. He's an actor who I think he's fun to watch. I don't necessarily think he's like an actor, but he is fun to watch. So I'm curious to see what he could bring to the MCU.
Oh, I think he'd be great. Are you kidding? I think he'd be enormously fun.
Yes, but he is not an actor, apparently.
He doesn't? Well, let's just say I've never seen him wearing a monocle, but he could.
He could.
I can tell you, he was... Yeah,
we can have a monocle off.
Well, he's got the monocle, plus he's got the eyebrow thing going, so monocle, eyebrow, I think he's got you beat there, Andy. That's...
Also, did we mention he's enormous? He's a physical specimen.
Yes.
Well, I have something I think I imagine Steve might be more excited about this than Andy. That earlier this week, Marvel Television confirmed that Runaways and Cloak and Dagger are actually doing a crossover. They're currently shooting both of those shows. I really enjoy, and there's a change in tone between the two of them that it'll be interesting to see how they handle a crossover. But mostly, this is a signal, I think, that these properties are picking up steam, and I'm so relieved to hear that, because now that they're going into their third seasons, they're shows that are worthy of attention. And so any of this, my hope is it's not a stunt and that it's an actual legit crossover, and that it sounds like there is some energy around Cloak and Dagger leaving Freeform and moving to Hulu. And with all of this transformation around, the Marvel machine, that could be a really good move for an underviewed property, and one of my very favorite superhero teams. Oh, yeah.
Really?
Cloak and Dagger has always been at the very top of my list. Super dark, those were kids that were straight up experimented on by drug cartels. And that, are you kidding? You had me at kids and drug cartels. So, anyway, it's very exciting. And Elizabeth Hurley, actually, of all people, Elizabeth Hurley is going to be joining the season 3 run of Runaways. Again, picking up some more sort of name brand. What does that mean?
I don't know.
It's too early. Name recognition. I don't know if that could be stunt casting, but they're bringing her on as Morgan Le Fay. That's a big character. It is the live action debut of that character. It should be really fun. So I think there's a lot of promise going on in the small screen, not just the Disney Plus announcements. So still stuff going on the other end of the Marvel TV spectrum.
I'm curious how all of that is going to continue once Disney Plus really takes off. Like, are they going to continue partnerships for some of these shows, or are they pretty much going to cut the cord on everything except Disney Plus properties?
Yeah, that would be sad. It would be sad. What I would much rather see happen is Kevin Feige getting control of all of these properties. Like, let's just bring them all in and still have the street level defenders, still have the street level heroes. Like, we need those in the universe.
Well, that's, because Disney Plus isn't going to do any of the darker stories. And so it would be nice to see them stick with some of those in some other
and Hulu
places.
is the channel for that, with Disney's stake in it and continued consolidation of ownership. That seems to be where we're going to go for the harder stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I really enjoyed season 1 of Runaways. I have not gotten around to season 2 yet. See, Cloak and Dagger is on Freeform, and I just haven't had room to add another show. So now I've got to shoehorn that one in. See, but
you really do, Steve. I actually think you would like it more than the others in terms of the small screen stuff. It is it is darker, but goodness, those kids are great. Olivia Holt and Aubrey Joseph and Olivia Holt are great. Ty is the actual character name. So I'm a big fan of those two. I think they're great on screen together. It's a great little cast. So
I've been having people encourage me to go over and watch The Boys on Amazon Prime for what apparently is a really dark superhero take on that. And so I've got one more thing to add to my what am I going to squeeze in? You know, I'm starting to feel like Andy. I don't have time for all these TV shows. Dag nabbit.
Who that's Neil Gaiman? Is that who did The Boys, or the concept? Is that whose story it is? I can't remember whose it is.
Written by Garth Ennis and
that's who it is, Garth Ennis, right?
I still have 2 more episodes of Stranger Things season 3 to wrap up. What? I know.
It's been a month, Pete. Come on.
I'm in not a good way.
How did you not just take care of that in a week? We took care of that in a day and a half, I think, over here.
Because I was in the middle of the Umbrella Academy at the time.
Okay. All right.
And then I traveled and nobody...
Right.
It's just not a thing. Anyway, so I still have to wrap up my Starcourt Mall experience, and then I'm moving on to The Boys.
That was so July ago, Pete. Come on, it's August.
Let's do trailers.
All right.
Let's do it. I think we have an A24,
right?
Not only an A24, but it was the first one put up, so I think that Steve gets to go first. I thought there was only one.
Isn't yours A24? Oh, no, yours
mine's
is
not
not
A24.
A24. That's right. Yours is... I don't even remember what yours is.
Something else.
Okay. Yeah, I was surprised because I posted this last night and I thought, oh, geez, I haven't checked. They've probably, as I said, I was still prepping my, sword duel list until about 6 or 7 last night. I was like, what? Okay. So
I was surprised because there was a tie when I checked, and I had to throw in my vote just to
it's a really
Andy
list.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, you pre-manipulate, I post-manipulate.
So I was surprised that I wasn't in a position where, oh, geez, I have to find a trailer that these two guys haven't picked already. So it was an open field for trailer picks. So I found this little film from A24 that when I watched the trailer, I was eager to see the credits because I thought this just feels like one of these young adult novels that got adapted somehow, and it's got sort of a darker tone to it. What is this book? Because this seems like something I'd be really interested in reading. And it's not. I was really surprised. This is from
Wait, it's not something you're interested in reading?
No. Well, I can't because there's no book. There is no book to read on this one. This is a film from first-time writer-director Kevin McMullen. I see he'd done like a short before this, but it's about 3 kids during the summer, hanging out, getting into trouble, but they discover some good old-fashioned treasure, gold doubloons, and this causes some rifts between the guys and their little gang of friends, and particularly this character Red, who seems to be the boy gone bad. And the line that really caught my attention was the dad who's in the police, telling one of the boys, this is your origin story. You've got to decide whether you're going to be the good guy or the bad guy. It's called Low Tide. It just, it's in my wheelhouse there of like teen adventure movies. So I'm intrigued to see where, how this holds up. As I said, that it seems like a familiar story. So it's not breaking a lot of new ground, but I like the concept, and it's hitting theaters October 4th. So we'll see. Is October the new December, as we've been saying, or is that September that's the new December? I don't know.
Or is October the new November?
I don't know.
Or really what is
this? Is one that it looks like a smaller film. It's probably not going to play, wide. I can't imagine not any big names on this one, but just seems like a really solid story that, again, focused on the teens, giving them, something exciting to watch. What did you guys think?
I was excited to see just kind of the cast, largely that looked like they were just doing some great stuff here. I think that it's always nice to see young people who can act well. And Jaden Martell, I am most familiar with him from It. He just was, which I just happened to rewatch, and he plays the
George?
Young Mike, I believe. No, he's not George. Oh, he is.
Isn't he George?
Is he George? No, George is the one who gets
Bill.
taken.
Yeah,
he's
right,
George's
Bill.
older brother. Yeah. But then he was also in Midnight Special and St. Vincent, and he's clearly a guy who's been just growing up to do some great stuff, and I'm looking forward to seeing where he goes with his career. And it is a really interesting story, and I'm curious to see what these guys are going to do with it, especially since it really does seem to focus largely on these kids and make the story about them more than the kind of adults in their world. So I'm really curious to see what is going to come of this one. So yeah, it's definitely piqued my curiosity. And of course, it's got the A24 stamp on it, so that doubles my interest.
Also interesting is a movie like this, you'd figure would be just treading that PG-13 territory, but this is going R for language, violence, and teen drug use. So it, like I said, it's got this darker bent to it. So I'm really interested to see how that, taking what is your, typical teen movie. Oh, we've got the adults that don't really know what's going on. And that almost becomes like a comic element, or it's just so cliche. Here, knowing that it looks like it has darker tones to it, I'm intrigued to see. It reminds me of Mean Creek. I don't know if you guys remember with that one. Yeah, where you've got teens off on their own,
really,
and it just goes into some really dark territory. So, Pete, what about you?
Well, it's the Goonies, but nobody likes each other. And I think that's great. I read this article this morning. I thought this was really interesting. Speaking of Jaden Martell, what is the name of the little gang in It, the Circle of Idiots?
The Losers Club?
The Losers Club. That's right.
A circle of idiots. Yes, that's
the anchor version of It.
This is the first time I've heard this. We've heard of these characters, actors who are, aging out of their roles, or they want to do flashbacks, and so you'll get, Robert Downey Jr. de-aged playing the piano on stage or something like that. So they de-age these actors. Well, they actually had to de-age the Circle of Idiots for It too, and I'm like, really, we're de-aging children now? They're not young enough. Well, it turns out they they did age over the 2 years since they shot this movie, and so we have a whole new age group to be circumspect of their CG appearance on screen. So anytime I see a kids movie, I'm like, oh, the sequel will be made in 10 years, but they'll all look exactly the same.
Oh my gosh!
Anyway, I think it looks great. I think Jaden Martell, obviously Shea Wingham is another that I'm super into in terms of just he's amazing. So I think the cast looks great. I love that they're taking some R-rated risks with it. I like the idea that they're going to take it into a little bit of a darker place, and yeah, I'm very excited about it. When can I watch it?
October 4th, the new December.
Right.
Remember? October, the new December.
That's right. I was just here for that conversation.
Yes, you were.
Right. Christmas is the new Independence Day.
Yes.
I'm very excited about this. So, Andy.
All right. My trailer is for a film that I'm curious to see what this one is going to be. This is A Million Little Pieces, a new drama directed by Sam Taylor Johnson. And this is the adaptation of kind of a book that had some notoriety for being a personal memoir that turned out to be largely fictionalized, written by James Frey. And there was quite a bit of controversy about it because, I mean, a lot of people said it was their favorite book of the year. It's this memoir of drug addiction and crime and a journey to sobriety, and received quite a bit he received quite a bit of grief afterward when he said it was largely fictionalized, and all that came to pass.
With Oprah too, like she brought him on the show.
Yes.
Was this that book? Okay,
yeah,
all right.
And but he still writes, and he's been writing a lot of stuff. He did I Am Number 4, which is, I think, part of a young adult series, which had been adapted into a film already. And I guess my impression of all of this is that if the story is good and honest, I guess maybe it doesn't matter if it's falsely marketed as a memoir, because this trailer looks really interesting. I'm very intrigued. I think the story of addiction and trying to break free of it can obviously create really strong stories, because there's a lot of opportunity for actors to portray really interesting things. In this particular case, we have Aaron Taylor Johnson, who, he kind of comes or goes for me as far as what I think of him, but I think in this particular trailer he looks pretty interesting. And this is directed by Sam Taylor Johnson, who is did they meet when she was making Nowhere Boy? I want to say I can't remember what the relationship is between the two Taylor Johnsons.
They're married. Because
they're married, right? Was it Nowhere Boy or it was after that, right?
I'm just looking at IMDb and puzzled by the fact that her name, she was born Samantha Louise Taylor Wood. So shouldn't she be Samantha Louise Taylor Johnson? I don't know. I don't know how that
Taylor Johnson.
I don't know.
It gets very complicated. Regardless, so it's an interesting. I don't know what the whole story is between the two of them.
They did meet on the set of Nowhere Boy. Well done.
Okay.
It was Nowhere Boy.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's in it. He plays the addict. He's playing James Frey here, and he's brought into this clinic for treatment by his brother, Charlie Hunnam, who is somebody that I've really grown to like over the years. There were times where I was kind of not that excited when I saw that he was in a film, but I've kind of grown to appreciate him as an actor. And I think it's some more of his recent projects that he's done, like The Lost City of Z, and of course, going all the way back to Nicholas Nickleby, which I totally forgot he was in. But it's stuff like Pacific Rim and stuff that I wasn't that excited about. But it's also got Billy Bob Thornton in it. It's got Giovanni Ribisi, David Dostal-Makian, we've talked about before, Juliette Lewis. And so it looks like it could be an interesting film with some honest performances by some great actors. And so despite where the source material is from and the controversy around it, I think it looks pretty interesting. What did you guys think?
I worry that this is one of those movies that just because of the subject material, I'm always going to prioritize something else. And so in order for me to, I'll probably enjoy it, but in order for me to see it, you will probably have to force me to watch it, like as part of a series or something like that. And I'll really enjoy it when we do.
I get it.
But it looks like it's one of those that's going to be easy to hide from. That being said, I think you could say I'm an Aaron Taylor Johnson fan, like straight up. I think his. It was Godzilla. It was actually, I'll tell you what it was. It was Quicksilver. No, it was Nocturnal Animals. Actually, wasn't he? That's really the one that, and it makes all the other ones great. But of course, I loved the first Kick-Ass movie. I wasn't as much of a fan of the second one, but I was a big fan of the first one. And so I think he's got a lot going for him. He's got a hell of a CV. And this looks like a chance for him to really showcase. Is it Oscar bait? Is it, is it that sort of a movie? I don't know. As far as James Frey, he wrote I'm Number 4 as Pittacus Lore. And I actually thought in terms of that sort of YA superhero kind of alternate universe thing, it actually worked pretty well. And the book series, my kids devoured it. Number 4, number 5, all the numbers are represented, and they really enjoyed it. It seemed like great fodder for a series that never quite took off. I is it weird that the memoirist fictionalized memoir blew over? Or did he just handle that well?
Well, I think in the world of authors, it's a little easier perhaps to, just put a pen name on a book and have it released, and people, don't really worry so much about it, and you can find your way back that way. Whereas in acting, your face is right there.
And the Pittacus Lore stuff he wrote before A Million Little Pieces, so yeah.
Did he? Oh, I thought it came.
Well, the movie,
afterward,
the movie did, but he had written the books long before.
Yeah,
not long, but probably several years.
Yeah.
What do you think, Steve?
There's some really amazing visuals in this, but I have to separate myself. Separate the person from the art that has been created, and that's always one of those struggles, because you can get down that slippery slope where if you're like, Scientology is a really bad thing. Okay, so you're going to not watch any John Travolta or Tom Cruise movies ever,
or The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, it's just right. Yeah, how do you handle that? So this is one where I think, based on people love the story, it's a compelling story. I haven't read the book, but I'm looking at this saying this looks like a really well done take on the addiction struggle story that we've seen, multiple times of, going back. I recall in the 80s, there was the Michael Keaton Clean and Sober one. There was a Sandra Bullock one, right, yeah. 28 Days or something like that. So this one really looks like it's...
That was before the zombies.
That's right.
That's
later.
So I think, it looks like a really, like I said, these visuals are really compelling to me. Again, it's not one that I'm not an Aaron Taylor Johnson fan, and I hope this is maybe the vehicle that really showcases his ability here. I think, Billy Bob Thornton looks hilarious in this. He's playing a sort of I don't know if it's comic relief, or it's just you're in such a dark place. You've got to be able to laugh at some things to get through that.
Yeah, I think that's part of it, right?
Yeah, it's coming. When is this coming out? December. So yeah, possibly Oscar bait. But yeah, I'm sort of with Pete. It's not one that I'm going to rush out to go see, because I don't know this is a story I want to put myself through, but I know I'll probably kick myself for not having watched it earlier by the time I get around to seeing it, unfortunately. Yeah.
I think there's something to that. It's one that definitely piques my curiosity. I mean, obviously, Sam and Aaron both co-wrote this. They both adapted it themselves, and then obviously they're kind of the directing acting team behind it. So I think they have a passion for the story, but also it is one of those things where they may be able to garner a little more recognition for it. So who knows? But you're right. This does open December 6th here in the U.S., a little earlier in the U.K. and Ireland. They opens August 30th over there, and then Russia December 5th. So
get
our friends
in
over in the
line.
UK and Ireland can let us know what they think very soon.
Okay, my trailer is I feel like we've spoken of it before, but just that the movie was coming. We haven't talked about the trailer. Now we have a date. I'm talking about Driven. This is the story of my favorite car, John DeLorean's quest to design the ultimate car of the future. No, I don't want one. No, I don't really need to drive one, but I do love that it exists in history, in the long arc of history. And this story, it tells the story of his downfall because of his friendship with an FBI informant played by Jason Sudeikis. I'm charmed by the fact that they are making this movie. Lee Pace, I adore. I think, I just fell in love with his work when he was in Pushing Daisies, which is one of the most inventive television shows that was canceled way before its time. Corey Stoll is fantastic. He's a special agent. Judy Greer is in this as the wife of the informant. It is a wonderful cast telling a story that I think just it demands you questioning reality, that this is not fiction, that the whole DeLorean mess was not a fiction, because it's that crazy. And I'm excited that we get a movie about it. It looks a little bit soft, but it was written by Colin Bateman, or as he's better known, just Bateman. He's a novelist and screenwriter. He's from Northern Ireland, and he's written some really interesting things. The fact that he came out and wrote this film, I think, is it intrigues me. I haven't seen a lot of his stuff. I know him first and foremost as a novelist, but I'm excited about it. What do you guys think?
It's funny. I watched this trailer and I think I struggle because of the Sudeikis factor, and I kept wanting to laugh because it all looked like it was supposed to be some broad comedy, and I kept going, okay, I'm not laughing. What's going on here? Why does this not feel right? I appreciate comedic actors when they can do stuff beyond what they normally do. But for some reason, this just looks like it's supposed to be funny because of him. And I struggled with the trailer the whole time because I kept waiting for it to be just like a kind of a dumb comedy. And so it looks like a really interesting story. And I hope it ends up working. And I don't know if it will, because the trailer made me feel like it already failed for me.
That's too bad.
Is that weird?
No, I totally get it. And I think the Sudeikis factor is a complicating one. But I think that guy is enormously talented. And I just I think that I go into it with that faith of just wanting him to make that turn and to be appreciated beyond the comedy. And I'm right with you. Like, I look at it and it's such a weird story. And frankly, Lee Pace in that hair it's hard not to look at that and think that's going for broad comedy. So I hear you. I totally do.
Well, I'm sort of in the same situation. I'm right there with Jason Sudeikis. I think he has that potential to make that turn. I think where things go wrong with this, and I'm just assuming based on IMDb listing, I'm looking at the director, Nick Hamm, and I'm not seeing anything that shows me, wow, he can handle something like this. And to me, this is almost like, has the potential to be that epic, like Scorsese, like Wolf of Wall Street, like let's explore all of these things that were going on, or a Soderbergh project. But as Andy says, it looks like it's trying to ride this line between telling a story, but also just, I know things get ridiculous. And it sort of, the first thing that came to mind was actually the Matt Damon one, The Informant, which also was sort of this, like, does it know what film it's trying to be? Is it, but you had a character that knew, I don't know, or just, I guess you knew that you had a ridiculous character to start with, and it's not as clear that it's as self-aware as that. And so then when it got to the end and it said, oh, in theaters, streaming and video all on the same date, I thought, oh, okay, this is just getting dumped out all at once.
And let's be clear, it's cresting 6.5 stars or 6.4 stars in the IMDb scale. It barely makes the 6-star rule. Yeah. And so it makes me nervous. And I bring this trailer today knowing full well that it's a trailer of faith and hope. We get it in the U.S. Its L.A. premiere was July 29th. We get it, Steve's word, dumped on August 16th in the U.S., August 22nd in Croatia, November 1st in the U.K.
So there we are. Yeah. All well, right. Pete, it may be a guilty pleasure for you. You can look at it that way. Maybe this will be a guilty pleasure.
Is it okay to have a guilty pleasure before you've seen the movie? Have we accelerated fandom that much?
Well, or you put it on the I hope that one day I can love this movie. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, Andy is sending pictures of himself in a DeLorean. Oh.
There you go. Just for you guys.
Andy.
Oh.
Did you actually get to drive it on that fine day?
No. I didn't. I just got to sit in it. That's okay. It was still fun to sit in.
A weird car. I love it.
It is a weird car, and it feels weird when you're in it because it just doesn't feel like it's actually well designed. You're like, things don't seem like they're positioned that well. But
all right,
I guess it was positioned in a way that they thought it would be good for the future back in the 80s.
Right. The 80s were not known as a decade of good judgment. So
that is true.
The DeLorean is a result of that. All right, let's do lists.
All right.
I think Steve gets to go first. We are, of course, talking about terrible movie disguises. This was from The Adventures of Robin Hood, which we discussed this week. And we're going to kick it off. Steve, where are we going to start?
We're going to start with, what do we mean by like terrible movie disguises? Because,
well, that's, I think we can all come up with our own determinations of that. So I'm curious what yours is. I tried
to stick with, as I recall from the discussion last week, it was, oh gosh, there's no way this costume would fool anybody. Which I had to draw a line with that, say, okay, is it a disguise where within that world you're thinking, oh, this is just not reasonable that people would be fooled by this, which to me is different from an attempt to actually make a disguise, but having the filmmakers fail to actually make it look like a good disguise, but that it's supposed to be. I don't know. I was all over the place. My searches kept turning up the same 6 movies all over the place, and I didn't agree with a lot of them. So I'm going to start and picking my rule of always pointing back to another episode. I'm going to go with the classic Ocean's 13, The Nose Plays. The Nose Plays. Matt Damon's nose in Ocean's 13. Horrible movie disguise.
Yeah, that's one that's I was torn on that one because that was we've talked about it on the show.
Right. Oh, yeah.
It's terrible, and it's terrible in it's supposed to be terrible kind of a way. I wondered about that.
Right.
Is that because I have one of those picks too, and so we'll see.
Okay.
And that's the dilemma, because I went through the same battle on my end, because I'm like, okay, so there's terrible movie disguises that everyone in the film is acknowledging this is a terrible movie disguise or terrible disguise, but it kind of works. And then there's the ones that are kind of like it's terrible, yet everyone in context of the film buys it. And there are the ones that just should never have been done. And that's where I'm starting. I'm actually going to be starting with looking into the James Bond franchise, which has a few that are certainly worth talking about.
One rises above the West.
You only live twice.
Yep.
James Bond going under disguise as a citizen of Japan with some, quote, plastic surgery, which really means a bad haircut and some fake eyebrows. And some padding added over his eyes, I guess. It's terrible. The fact that anyone buys the fact that Sean Connery is suddenly Japanese is just nonsense, which is frustrating because this is really one of my favorite James Bond movies. I love it. The whole volcano battle at the end is just fantastic. But this element of it is just bananas. So that's where I'm starting. You only live twice.
It's a good steal. It's a solid steal. That was number one on my list with a bullet.
That also
absolutely.
covers the offensive disguises as a subcategory as well.
Does it really? Because I'd like to open the bidding.
Oh, no. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I'd like to open the bidding with a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. That's right. Robert Downey Jr. playing an Australian in blackface impersonating a Vietnamese farmer. Now, this is my The Nose Plays pick, right? Like, it's supposed to be offensive. That's where the comedy comes in. Yeah. And Robert Downey Jr. just owns it. Like, he owns every single inch of this sequence, the layer upon layer, but they are equally terrible disguises. And so I have to go with this particular one. Oh my goodness.
I struggle with that being called a disguise because it's an actor in a performance and everybody acknowledges that. He's not trying to fool
but when
anybody.
He dresses up as the Vietnamese.
As the Vietnamese, yeah, that's the final one that is the disguise, Andy.
That's true.
I love that movie.
That's such a great movie. Oh, man.
Oh, wow. Okay.
All right. Steve, your second pick.
The second one, and this is a category I tried to avoid because it's just so easy to not do it well, and often it's played for comic effect. And I was trying to maybe stay away from, this is a bad disguise, but we're in a comedy, so it's hilarious that people believe this. And anyway, there's so much going on in these picks, trying to get to the bottom of this. But I went with men dressed as women. And it is, yes, for comic effect, but it also is compounded by the fact that the actual disguise falls apart because Pintel and Rigetti, as part of the zombie crew of the Black Pearl, when they go into the moonlight dressed as women, it is the fact that they are actually skeletal, I think, that gives them away, not the fact that they are these pirates that are dressed as women in a rowboat out in the middle of the ocean. Sort of like, as I think as Rigetti says, it's sort of like the Greeks, except instead of being in a horse, we're dressed as women. And that was the design of their plan. In Pirates of the Caribbean.
That's actually a good pick. Just for that line alone, that gives me a good chuckle.
Right. I don't think much of those films are that franchise, but that's a really funny line. The fact that I don't even remember who those characters are, I think says everything about what I think
it's
about
the two guys, the one with the wooden eye, those
it's
two,
the comic pirates.
The comic pirates. Oh, I love that franchise. It's so much fun.
For my second pick, I'm going to jump into an animated film, and for all intents and purposes, it's a disguise that really should have worked because of the context of it. I'm talking about the 1992 film Aladdin.
Andy, twice? Really? Another steal.
I'm totally stealing it. Your
don't you know
right
Andy
now.
always has a Disney film on his list. It's his hidden rule that he doesn't tell us about. So stay away from Disney and you will find.
I know.
It's my Woody Allen, man.
Yeah,
it's my Woody Allen.
Loud.
It's not my fault that you forgot another Woody Allen opportunity. The fact that Prince or that Aladdin asks the genie, who is magic basically, to turn him into a prince, and the disguise fools Princess Jasmine, even though he looks like Aladdin dressed up. It's nonsense. It's like, if you're going to turn him into a prince, make him look different. Go the extra yard and make him look like a different person. But no, he looks exactly like Aladdin, just in a nice outfit. in context of the movie, it's fine. But seriously, it's one of those disguises that when you step back, you're like, he's just in different clothes. Why does this work?
There was a behind the scenes of that where they actually put Aladdin in blackface as a Vietnamese fisherman. So it didn't play.
No.
For audiences.
Well, they didn't turn him into a Japanese person, so I guess.
All right. Dumb disguise.
Oh.
That was all right. My next one is a movie that we were talking about guilty pleasures. This one is high on the list, but I have to step up and say, really, this is just an opportunity to put Val Kilmer in a lot of wigs, and that is The Saint. I do love this movie, and it's one of those movies that I had it on VHS, and then, of course, I had to get it on DVD, and now I think I have it digitally. This is one of those movies. It's like right there next to Ronin, which is a better movie. But I still have The Saint. I still like The Saint, but the disguises are straight up terrible. And when you look at, especially when you look at stills of the disguises, all of the disguises, they're all terrible. And, they're all Val Kilmer with the same smirk. Except for the one where he plays the scientist with the hair. And if you look at the picture of him sitting in the room of other scientists, it's so easy to pick out the one who's the spy. Like, it's every one of these is the one. Yeah, it's terrible. So there you go. That's it. Val Kilmer, The Saint.
The best is the internet side-by-sides of him and the Nutty Professor.
They're all the same.
They look closer in relation to anything else.
Too true. There you go.
Oh,
yes.
So bad. And, I will say, to that movie's credit, I mean, it's a movie full of terrible disguises that for some illogical reason always work. But the one that actually worked for me is when he goes face to face with the villain and he's dressed like the villain and they're looking at each other. And I'm like, he actually does a pretty good job of pulling that one disguise off.
That is a great point. Thank you for redeeming my pick, Andy. All right, Steve.
That was another branch of bad disguises where it's just like basically bad wigs.
That's it. Teeth.
Okay. All right. So this is once it was revealed that we were doing these terrible movie disguises, this is the first one that came to mind. And I have not seen this movie in a really, really long time. But I remember watching this film as a young kid on TV, and so I think the disguise starts off okay, but it quickly degrades and you're realizing, no, this disguise is no longer working. I'm talking about Peter Sellers in the Pink Panther Strikes Again, when he is disguised as the dentist and his prosthetic nose starts melting off of his face. There's a clip on YouTube for it. I haven't seen it forever. It's still hilarious. The fact that, it's Inspector Clouseau. Nothing he does ever works out well, including this disguise, is my number one pick for terrible movie disguises.
I'm all over that one.
I have to
not
plead
seen that?
The fifth of I've never seen, other than, what's the very first one called? That's not actually
Shot in the Dark?
Something Pink Panther. Shot in the Dark. That's the only one of the Pink Panther movies I've ever seen. I've seen clips of the others. But I've never actually seen the entirety of any of them.
How did you get through childhood?
Yeah, I'm worried about that.
They just look so dumb.
Oh, for crying out loud. New series, Pink Panther.
Oh, thank you, Pete.
Oh, thank you. What have I done?
Oh, Andy, you should know. Never admit those things. You just owned it. This is our Rocky series of 2020.
All right. Then the Saw franchise will be coming right afterward.
It's amazing how this is.
I have access to the list,
too. We're going from
too.
Rocky to Robin Hood to Cronenberg, and next year it'll be Pink Panther to Saw. The entire next reel is becoming just a series of Payback.
Oh, my God.
That's right.
Brilliant pick, Steve. I applaud you.
Thank you.
Andy, what's your next
And those
steal?
are movies full of disguises,
full
just to say, right.
Your final steal.
Right. For my final pick, I'm going to a film that I think probably would have been something I loved as a kid. And actually, by the time I saw it, I mean, it came out when I was, a teenager in high school. I still enjoyed it, and it was a fun film because of what it was. And it's a franchise that certainly they've continued to grow with and work on and improve or tear apart, however you want to define it. But it still is kind of a fun film. I'm curious about revisiting it, but also I'm nervous. It is the 1990 film Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, with the turtles designed by Jim Henson's Creature Shop. And there are things about this movie that I really remember enjoying quite a bit, and there's some elements that I think were pretty stupid. But all that aside, I bring this up for one specific reason, and it is because it is when Raphael, the red masked turtle, decides to go out on the town, and I really can't remember why, but he puts on a trench coat and a hat, and that pretty much convinces everybody that he's a human walking around the streets. No one has a problem with the fact that there's basically a giant talking turtle walking around, except for a cab driver, weirdly, who says, oh, when the guy's like, what was that? He's like, I don't know, it looked like a turtle in a trench coat or something like that. It's it's really odd that nobody recognizes the fact that this is actually a walking, talking turtle. And so, I don't know, it really strikes me as funny that this is a disguise that convinces everybody that it's just another human. But anyway, that's my final pick, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I just, the red mask sells it. Yes. The red mask nails it.
It's really...
My final pick is another pick from 1997, following up on The Saint, because 2 of my picks were stolen. I'm going to to a deeper cut, but okay. I feel like this has become more appropriate because of my Saint pick, where it was Val Kilmer in disguises. And as much as I wanted to pick another Val Kilmer movie like that one where he dressed up like Jim Morrison, I'm going to go instead with the only slightly better 1997 Bruce Willis vehicle, The Jackal, in which we get to see Bruce Willis putting on all kinds of wigs and mustaches as the imprisoned IRA fighter, freed to help stop the brutal, seemingly faceless assassin. And, Richard Gere was in it. Sidney Poitier was in it. This was just like, it was the making of a great movie. And then they put Bruce Willis in the long hair surfer blonde wig, and it was all over. It was all over.
You know what's funny is I almost brought this up as an example when I was talking about The Saint and the bad wig genre. I almost threw this in, but I'm like, just in case someone picks it, I better not. Lo and behold, that was a pretty terrible one. And it's funny because I was not, I was convinced that you were going to say Team America as your last choice. So I didn't purposely pick that one because I'm like, well, I don't want to steal all 3 of Pete's choices. But
I love that you were caretaking so well, Andy. Well done. Well done. The codependence in our relationship is noted, for the record.
Shining through.
Good list. Funny list. Almost none of these movies do I want to go watch again. Well, some of them I do.
I think it's too great, maybe speaks well of our movie-going choices that I'm assuming because none of us saw them, but that neither White Chicks nor The Master of Disguise ended up on our lists. But I think as I was doing research, those popped up on pretty much every thing. And I'm like, well, I haven't seen those. I can't bring them up.
I haven't seen... well, no, I think I did. I must have rented Master of Disguise at one point when it first came out on video, but I don't remember it that well. But White Chicks, oh gosh, why would I? Oh, it's
I have to say I haven't seen that as well. Although I will not go so far as to say that they've never done funny things. That was not a movie that was made for me.
Yes.
So
yeah.
All right. So that wraps up our list this week. What are we doing next week? Oh, I'm so ill prepared.
This is going to be Robin and the Seven Hoods.
Okay.
So it's a little shift in the type of Robin Hood story we're going to be talking about. So we've got, 30s gangsters we could do.
Oh, singing mobsters.
Singing mobsters.
Yeah.
The
Singing
genre.
Mobsters. We got to throw that in there.
Okay, Singing Mobsters.
That's officially my pick.
There.
I stand down. Good luck.
Yeah, well, that's what everyone's going to vote on, and so I may not actually end up on the show next week. Just letting you know. Okay, Singing Mobsters is Pete's throwing that one in. We also have what else do we have in that one? We've got, let's see, Peter Falk is fantastic. We have a great cameo in that one with Edward G. Robinson.
Oh, great cameo! I don't think you've ever done great cameos.
Okay, great cameos. Putting that one down. And have you seen that one, Steve?
No, I haven't.
Let's see. We have. Is there something we could do revolving around Rat Packs or group of actors who kind
work together?
Work together often.
Groups of actors that work together often.
Look how easy that was.
That was easy.
It's all because we opened with Singing Mobsters. That's the stuff, you guys. That's the stuff. Yeah.
Oh, that's something. That is something. I won't say what it is, but it is something.
Our next T-shirt is you guys dressed up as mobsters singing. It's just a little art. I can't wait. Oh, we're gonna lean in.
Only if they're singing the Blob.
Thank you, Andy. I was going to say only if you're singing the Blob. That's what we need. Andy dressed as a mobster singing the Blob. There we go.
Exactly what the world is not waiting for.
He has to sing it with his Irish accent.
I'm going to show up for that ringtone.
Yeah.
Intern, start the recorder. All right.
Geez.
I got to go recreate, you guys. I am coming to you from Colorado Springs, the sunny capital of Colorado Springs.
Oh, wait, you're there? Oh, so you survived the tornadoes? Because have you been there all week?
No. I just got in yesterday evening.
Oh, okay. Because Hannah's phone was blowing up earlier this week because there was imminent threat of tornado destruction. So twisters running amok in Colorado Springs.
They are. Yeah, it has happened.
Yeah. And then there was also downtown the longhorn steer that got loose and was running around downtown and actually ran inside a bank. So
there was a bull in a bank.
Wow.
Yep. You can search that on the news. It's there. Your hometown.
Oh, I love it. I love it. This is why I'm from here. It's these stories. Anyway, a happy weekend, everybody. I hope you find something great to watch.
Indeed. Have a good one, everybody. We will be back to talk about these wacky choices that we've just come up with for Robin and the Seven Hoods next week. Until then, thank you so much for being a Patreon supporter. And we appreciate you. Happy Saturday.
Hondo.